Welcome back to the Range Minded Podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and I love having you guys here. My goal, my passion, my desire here is to share with you, my friends, my appreciation and my love for the Second Amendment and all things that have to do with it. Whether we're talking about first-time trigger presses on a specific gun, or maybe we're talking about the stuff that our folks in Washington are doing to screw over our rights. Either way, I want to try and bring to you as much information as possible. And that's what I'm going to do in this episode. This one right here, the one you're watching. Today, we're going to be talking about a cartridge that has literally been punching above its weight class for over 66 years. What might that cartridge be, you might be thinking? Well, it's this one right here. This is the 22 Winchester Magnum Rimfire, WMR. Or what most of us call it, 22 Magnum. Anyway, it's got a story to tell. It's got some things to share. We're going to head out to the range and just have a good time. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. The story of the 22 Mag. Enjoy it, my friends. It's a good one. Let's set the stage a little bit. The year is 1959. Eisenhower is the president. If you turned on your AM radio, most likely you're going to hear Elvis singing something. Some of the sexiest cars ever built in America are cruising down Route 66. And Winchester, they're hard at work. Their engineers are trying to devise something new. So up to this point, 22 long rifle is probably the most predominant, at least rimfire for sure, but one of the most predominant rounds in America. It's been used for decades, from anywhere from, just target shooting, plinking, or even maybe some small varmint hunting, taking care of little predators trying to attack your chickens or whatsoever. 22 has been around for a very long time. But one of the issues with 22 long rifle is it just didn't have enough punch, enough impact, enough power to take care of some of the bigger critters out there. Coyotes, muskrats, that kind of thing. 22 long was just a little bit bulimic. Now, up to this point, you had the 22 rimfire by Winchester, which it kind of was getting some attraction, but it just wasn't enough. They elongated the 22 long rifle case just a touch, but it just wasn't doing what Winchester had anticipated. The bullets ended up being a little less accurate. There wasn't enough pressure to really do what they wanted to. So Winchester engineers decided, all right, let's take that casing, let's revisit it, and let's extend it even more. So they ended up taking it and extending the case to, I think it's 1.055 inches, so much, much longer. They beefed up the walls of the casing. And then they put a 40 grain lead pill inside of that thing. What ended up happening is not only did they get greater pressures, obviously, because they were able to put more charge in there, but they found out that through a rifle length barrel, they were pushing about 2,000 feet per second, which is like a 50% increase to the 22 long rifle. So they're getting more power, more pressure, and pretty solid accuracy compared to the Winchester rimfire that they had previously designed. And then they called it the 22 Magnum. Well, it's the 22 Winchester Mag, or WMR. WMR. Winchester Magnum Rimfire. There we go. We'll just call it the 22 Mag in this case of this video. But that's when it was born, 1959. Here's the funny part. Winchester didn't even have anything chambered to handle the 22 Magnum, their dream cartridge, right? They didn't come out with that until the next year, 1960, with their slide action, their Model 61. But Marlin saw what was coming up, and they decided that they would take one of their lever action guns, their Levermatic, and beef up the gun just a little bit with a few tweaks in their design that could handle the extra pressures of that casing. And boom, they brought their lever action in 22 Magnum out in 1959, the same year that cartridge was presented. Stinky Marlin. And they've been stealing the thunder. Well, at least they stole a lot of their thunder for years after that. But by that time, 1960, other companies were catching on to how rad this cartridge really was and how useful it could be. Ruger and Smith & Wesson both came out with revolvers in that same chamber. But the other cool thing was Savage. I have to look at my notes here to make sure I get it right. Savage came out with their Model 24, which was a double barrel rifle. So it had a 22 mag on top and a 410 shotgun on the bottom. And a lot of people back in the 50s, late 50s, 60s, loved that as a choice. The ranchers really liked the idea of this particular firearm because they could dispatch a rabbit at 50 yards, 100 yards, or they could take out a rattlesnake right in front of them with the same gun. Pretty rad design. So why did it catch on so fast? Well, 3 words. It had power, it had the range, and it had versatility to get and do what it needed to do. Not only could you shoot small game like rabbits or squirrels without completely destroying the pelt or the meat like a center fire might do, but you could still reach out there, hit a coyote or a groundhog or something a little bit beefier at about 125 yards ish, and it's it still had that energy to take care of that. You couple that with it's relatively quiet, and the recoil is really manageable. So you could get out there, you could shoot, target shoot, varmint shoot, whatever, and not feel like you got your ass kicked by shooting a larger center fire rifle. It was really a game changer for Winchester and the whole 2A design, manufacture, and usability. It just took off. Pretty much all through the 1960s, not a lot happened with the 22 Magnum as far as innovation with firearms. It wasn't really until the 70s and 80s that it really caught on. It really got some traction. Back in the original time of this cartridge, almost everything that was chambered in 22 Magnum was either a bolt-action rifle or some kind of revolver, and maybe a few levers in there. And that was really because the case pressure was so high, and the designing ability and the materials that they had at that point in time, that they really weren't there to create something that could handle those high pressures in such a small frame firearm. But things changed. By 1977, H&R decided to say, hold on a second, we are bringing something to the market. They were the first real American-made semi-automatic rifle manufacturer that could handle that case pressure, and that gun really ran supreme all the way up into the 80s. It was quite a remarkable piece. By the time the 1990s rolled around, which in my opinion were probably some of the best years, at least that I ever experienced, there were semi-automatics in 22 mag all over the place. The 1022 Magnum was in existence, fabulous. But then Remington and Marlin came out with a 597, as well as Savage. They also came out with a semi-automatic as well. It was an absolute heyday for semi-automatic rifles in 22 Magnum. It was awesome. And do you know who else really loved it? Yeah, the folks pulling the triggers. They made it a lot of fun and efficient, while we're saying it as well, efficient to take care of varmints at many distances. We've already talked about how useful that cartridge is at a little bit further out. Awesome. It was an amazing time to be alive for the 22 Magnum. Now, it would be completely unfair just to say that 22 Magnum rifles were the only things around. They obviously were not. Handguns had a big part of this too. Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Taurus, and many other manufacturers all had handguns chambered in 22 Magnum. Probably the most important or prolific or amazing, whatever you want to call it, was the Ruger Single 6. Now, I have one of these, and you probably saw it already in the video. I absolutely love this gun. What made this gun, the Single 6, such a great buy is it came with 2 cylinders, one for 22 long rifle, one for 22 Magnum, which gave shooters way more enjoyment with the same firearm. They could plink with the 22 long rifles, have a good time, shoot all day, not get worried about it. But then if they wanted to go hiking or whatever, they could throw the 22 Magnum cylinder in, and they had something that definitely carried a little bit bigger punch and had a few more uses as well. Awesome gun. If you can get a hold of one, I highly recommend it. Super rad.
Even North American Arms, which say what you will about the company, even they make a very tiny 22 Magnum revolver which you could conceal carry. Usefulness, that's up for debate. Accuracy, not really. But yeah, they did make a revolver small enough to carry deep concealed carry in 22 Magnum. Now you might be thinking, Steve, seriously 22 mag as concealed carry? Hold on a second. Just, I know what you're saying, and I know there's lots of videos out there already commenting on this, but it might be a viable option. And there are a lot of cartridge choices in 22 Magnum, which might make that a good option for you. Now, I get this. The 22 mag doesn't have the penetration that a 9 or 45 will, and it's not going to expand as well as what you need to for a defensive projectile needs to expand. It's not going to dump that energy as well because there's just not as much there. But for a beginning shooter, for somebody who's just starting out, that's really trying to get in, their foot into the door of carrying, this might be a really good option. Again, not a lot of recoil. It's got some serious punch for what it is. And it's just easy and fun to shoot. It might be a good option. Go to the Ruger LCR, I think the LCR X in 22 Magnum. Lightweight revolver, easy to carry, a frame big enough for you to get a hold of, and fairly accurate. In 22 Magnum, I think that's a great option. There are plenty of other handguns chambered in the 22 mag that could be an option as well, not to mention things like the Keltec CMR 30, which is kind of a PDW type of firearm. They seem to run. They seem to be a great option as well. There's so many things out there that you could easily quantify or at least put in the bubble of concealed carry or self-defense tool. It's a very viable option. Is 22 Magnum going to stop a bear? Probably not. Is it going to at least make somebody think twice about doing something stupid if you're using it as a concealed carry tool? Maybe. Obviously, there's the whole proverbial argument about, I don't want to get shot with a 22. Well, I don't. Definitely. Nobody wants to get shot with anything. Again, something is better than nothing. This might be a really good choice for some folks in the concealed carry side of things as an option for a life-saving tool. And I know I mentioned the Savage Model 24 a little bit ago. Well, it kind of got a reboot too. Chiappa brought out their Model 42 and the M6 survival gun, both combinations, 22 long rifle, one barrel, and the Badger has the 410 and the survival has the 12 gauge barrel. So tons of options, things that are still being created to match that, combination double barrel idea. Stuff's still happening with the 22 Magnum, and it's cool. And with the such versatility in firearms chambered in 22 Magnum, it's no wonder that it's kind of like the do-all Swiss Army knife kind of cartridge in the gun world. It's liked by survivalists and small game hunters to just people that want to plink and have a good time. That cartridge meets all the criteria for all sorts of good things, which we all can enjoy. It's so rad. It's such a cool cartridge.
Now let's talk about the ammunition itself real quick. Originally, like I said earlier, when Winchester created this cartridge, it was a 40 grain projectile that was pushing roughly, like I say, about 2,000 feet through a rifle length barrel. Nowadays, you can get a plethora. Do you even know what a plethora is? A plethora of ammunition choices for the 22 Magnum. You got 30 grain all the way up to 50 grain, and maybe some mixes in between there. You're pushing anywhere from 2,500 feet ish with the 30 grain bullets to about 1,550, somewhere around there with the heavier bullets. Not to mention Winchester, Hornady, CCI, all these companies, major companies, are making ammunition choices. Even a VMAX from Hornady for large varmints or predators like coyotes. Tons of options out there, which makes this cartridge incredibly versatile. You can use it for all sorts of things. And even though 22 long rifle is definitely cheaper than 22 Magnum, you're going to be spending maybe 40 to 60% more on the 22 Magnum ammo compared to the 22 long rifle. The benefits of reaching out farther, hitting harder, are definitely there, and it's a fantastic option. Let's just say that you zeroed your 22 mag at 100 yards. At 150 yards, you're going to see about a 6-inch drop from your zeros. Whereas if you take your 22 long rifle and do the same thing, zero it at 100 yards, when you get out there to 150 yards, you're going to be dropping 9.5 inches. So there's a drastic drop. Plus, the energy that you're going to be hitting at 150 yards is still going to be pretty amazing. With the Magnum, you're going to be hitting about 114 pounds, foot-pounds of energy at that distance, whereas the 22 long rifle, it's going to be 85, 87 foot-pounds of energy at 150 yards. So you're really keeping the energy longer. You're pushing a heavier projectile faster at better accuracy. Now, I know this isn't going to be some kind of a sniper rifle, long distance precision gun. I get that. It's still a 22 rimfire. But you're keeping energy longer. You're seeing less drop. Now, I don't know what it's going to be at 200 yards, at 400 yards. You're not going to see a lot of, it's going to be useless at that distance. But even at 150 yards, at a 6-inch drop from the 22 Magnum, it makes your holdovers a lot easier to understand, and you're still keeping that energy. Now, as far as finding the ammo, sometimes it can be a pain in the butt, especially during the time period. It was kind of a bugger to get a hold of. Like I said, it is definitely more expensive. Most gas stations, at least where I live, out here in rural Idaho, I can go to the gas station and pick up some 22 long rifle. Chances are I probably won't find Magnum at the same gas station, which is fine, whatever. So availability can be an issue, and we had already talked about price. It's going to be more expensive to shoot. So it's not really, if it's something you just want to go plinking with, definitely 22 long rifle is probably your best option. There's so many ammo choices, there's so many firearm choices that the ammunition's cheaper. But sometimes there is an itch you just have to scratch, and only the 22 Magnum can give you that opportunity. It's just a hard caliber to beat. Now, understand, and I think we're going to talk about this later, maybe we already have, the way I've edited this video is kind of, the 22 mag eventually turns into the 17 HMR. Now you're getting a lighter bullet, which is going so damn fast, and it's incredibly accurate. But if you understand bullets and weights and all that stuff, you understand that maybe that is a good choice, maybe it's not. But we're not going to talk about ballistics in this video. That's up for you to study on your own. Maybe we'll talk about it in some other video. I don't have a 17 HMR. Damn, maybe I should buy one. We'll get to that later. Let's look at some other stuff. Just a little side note, before we started shooting, I thought this was really interesting when we start talking about metallic cartridges in the United States, specifically rimfires. That's a long history. And starting with the 22 short, which was the first really viable metallic cartridge, I can't even say it, metallic cartridge in the United States, that was brought out in 1857. Almost 100 years before the 22 Magnum, 1857. Think about that. How long we have had metallic cartridges. I get that 22 short, yeah, it's kind of not really that amazing. But it created this huge run on functional, enjoyable, usable for all ages firearms, and a cartridge choice that is still going strong today. Like I said, we started at the 22 short, and then the 22 long, then the 22 rimfire, and then the Magnum. But now we have so many other rimfire choices that are out there. It's pretty crazy to think that starting in 1857, we have this little 22 short, but now in 2025, I'm out here shooting a 22 Magnum. It's crazy. It's crazy to think how long that rimfire history really is. It's something that we got to enjoy, right? Now, the long rifle came out in 1887, and then lasted all the way up, like I said, into 1959. That's That's just amazing to me. It just blows my mind. And then we take good American engineering and we take these cartridges that are just tiny, and then we start developing center fire, and now we have just so many amazing choices to express our love for our 2A rights. Like, it's just awesome. All right, enough of me talking. Shall we do some shooting? I think we should. Let's go plinking. Now, before we do any kind of shooting whatsoever, whether it's me out here out in the middle of public land or you at an organized range, it doesn't matter where you're at or who you are with, you need to always be following the 4 basic or general firearm safety rules. Say, first and foremost is we're going to treat every gun like it is loaded all the time. No exceptions. No exceptions whatsoever. Second, because we're going to treat that gun like it's loaded, we're never ever going to point it at something that we're not willing to destroy. So we want to keep it pointed in a safe direction. For here, the safest direction for us today is either straight down to the ground or just down range. Okay, we're not going to go way above our backstop. We just want to make sure that we're not pointing at something that we're not willing to destroy. Third, we're going to keep our finger off of the trigger and outside of the trigger guard until we've made the conscious decision to fire, right? We want to make sure that we're not accidentally messing with the trigger and it goes off when we're not expecting it to. Then the fourth one is, and I kind of already alluded to it, is we want to know what's in front of our target and what's beyond. Obviously, in this case, we know where the backstop is. I know where these bullets are going to terminate. I know what my target is, but I just want to make sure that no matter where I'm at, that I'm aware of what that bullet could potentially hit. So as long as we're following those 4 rules, everything should be cool. Everything should be fine. Yeah, things could still happen, but we're doing our due diligence to mitigate as much as possible. So always, always, always adhere to those 4 general firearm safety rules. Now, I know we already talked about, Steve, stop talking. I got it. I know we talked about making sure we maintain the general firearm safety rules, but something that really should be an addendum to those is good eye and ear protection. Are we expecting any kind of failure out of these guns? No, of course not. But you never know what's going to happen. When it comes to hearing, though, you only have your 2 ears, right? Once that hearing is gone, it's gone. Maybe unless you discontinue or don't consider expensive surgeries that I know I can't afford and I doubt you guys can afford. Make sure you're getting good quality ear pro. These are my Peltor. I think they're the 500s. I love them because they're Bluetooth. I can listen to music. I can even talk on the phone if I wanted to. And they have a great decibel rating. But you don't have to buy the top of the line. Just go get some little foamy earplugs and use those. Anything is better than nothing, even when it comes to 22 caliber stuff. I know they're generally quieter, but it's just not worth the risk to your hearing. Just take care of yourself. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Let's go plink. Now, before I even start shooting, I want to show you guys something. So I recently found out about these guys, and they're not very far away from me. And I haven't even shot these targets yet. I wanted you to look at them. So here they are. These are the Armory Plastics self-healing targets. They're made with some kind of a, I don't know, special rubber. I believe they're injection molded, but they can handle all sorts of rounds. I talked to the owner and the developer of these. Super cool guy. It's a family-owned business. Again, it's in Idaho Falls. And this is what we're going to be shooting today. When you buy this kit, this is the Pop Target kit. I better figure that out. I'll tell you what it is in a second. But you buy this kit, it comes with a bunch of different targets, all of these little danglers. There's actually a couple more that I didn't put on here. And you assemble the rag. These are obviously my target stands that I've made to fit what's working out. So I wanted to show you these targets to you guys. I'm excited to shoot them and see how they function. It should be pretty cool. So let's get shooting. I'm going to show you what I'm shooting today. It should be pretty cool to see. So first off, this is a Henry Silverboy. Beautiful gun, 22 Magnum. And this is a Ruger Mark, I think this is the Mark II. Oh man, my front side's super loose. I didn't realize that. Well, this is just a regular Ruger. And then I brought my dad's old single six with these. Look at these grips. I made these. I gotta remake them. This is from a tree I actually cut down myself. Yeah, that's right. And I made those grips to go. Anyway, we're gonna be shooting a bunch of different bullets out of the 22 mag. Just a bunch of different choices, just to see how they do. I'm probably not gonna shoot my defensive loads. I just wanted to show you guys how cool. Like, there's so many stinking options. So many options. So let's get shooting. Enough talking. Let's do some shooting. All right, so I got all the cameras set up. Let's see how this goes. I'm actually gonna shoot. Let's shoot this little Ruger 22 real quick. I haven't shot this for a hot minute. And today I'm gonna just be shooting some arms core. Just some little plinkers. I think these are 40 grainers. Nothing crazy. I haven't shot this little 22. Man, I don't remember the last time I shot this little guy. I got it for one hell of a deal. I don't remember what I spent for it. But let's load a few rounds in this thing, and let's shoot at those little targets out there. So the pop shot. That's what those little guys are called, from Armory Plastics. You can find these on, if you jump on armoryplastics.com. You can check them out on their website, see what they cost. Again, I just happened to find these guys. Just a friend of a friend introduced me to them. I had no idea that they even existed. So, all right. That did not pick up a cartridge. Maybe I won't be shooting this thing. What's going on here? There it goes. There we go. All right. I'm going to... I got to get your ears on, Steve-O. I'm going to see if I can hit, even with a really, really loose front sight. I'm going to go for the dangler on the bottom far right. It's the largest dangler I got. Let's see if we can hit it. Holy cow, way high, way left. There we go, hit that one. These sights are so far off. Man, I'm wobbly. Oh, that's awesome. I think I have the other camera set up downrange. I think you can see where actually I hit. Those first couple of rounds, like I say, these sights are so far off. At least that's what I'm going to say it is anyway. So I'm going to try and hit that. I got 2 rounds I just put back in. Let's see if we can hit the center dangler. In 2 rounds here. I don't think I hit it. I can't tell from here. Anyway, 22 long rifle. Now you can see, just like we were talking about in this video, it's not going to have the same kind of punch that the 22 Magnum will. So just for the hell of it, let's load up. Let's see, what do I got here? We're going to start with the Winchester 45 grainers. These are called Dynapoints. Small game hollow points. And should we shoot them out of the single 6, or should we shoot them out of the rifle? You know, I haven't shot that single 6 for a minute too. It's probably been a year since I had that thing out. Maybe we'll start with that one. Now, my dad bought this gun when I was a kid. I still have the original grips for it. You can see how these walnut grips turned out, but I screwed up a little bit. I put the screw in the wrong spot, so they don't fit completely tight. I'm going to remake them. Not these ones, obviously, they're done. But I'll make another set. They're book matched, and it should turn out pretty awesome. A few years ago, I made a beautiful set, matching pair, I guess. A buddy of mine up in Jackson Hole does some cowboy accent shooting, and he had a pair of vaqueros. I think I might have actually posted these on X a little while back, but he had a couple of vaqueros, and I made book matched walnut grips for his vaqueros, and they turned out so dang cool. Um, I just like doing that kind of stuff. Plus, when it's a tree that you actually harvested yourself, it's got some sentimental value to it. Not to mention that the tree that I cut down was in my parents' yard, so there's so much heritage. Not only in this particular single six, by the way, it's a 3-screw. If you guys are wondering, the owner, my dad, who I eventually inherited after he passed away, the grips I made for it, like it's just got some wonderful ties. That's the beauty about the Second Amendment and gun collecting, is it's not just about the right to keep and bear arms. It's about the stories, the history, and the memories that can be made while enjoying, shooting, target shooting, hunting, any of those experiences. I know a lot of you guys grew up hunting with your dad, or maybe your mom, I don't know, and you have those core memories that last forever. So just remember that as you're exercising your 2A rights and you're really expressing your joy for guns and the gun community, that's why it's so important to share it with other people. That's why I always say take somebody shooting, because it means so much more than I think a lot of us give it to. Anyways, enough shooting. No, enough talking. Let's see if I can actually hit something with this single six. Now I'm going to scoot over a little bit. I don't know if you can see the target downrange. I'm using my watch to see what you're seeing. Whew. Let's see. I'm going to go slow that bottom right dangler again. Let's see how I do. This is 22 mag, 45 grainers. There we go. Man, these are such a little joy to shoot, They're not a lot of recoil. In the revolver, obviously they're going to be a little bit louder because you get the gas escaping from the sides of your cylinder. But they're just so much stinking fun. Let's try this again. Let's go load 6 more in here. Again, we talked about long range out of the 22 Magnum. You're not going to have a great, you're not reaching out there, especially 100 yards on a revolver. Maybe you will. In fact, let's just, for the heck of it, I don't know if you can see, there's so much trash out here, but there's a white tarp way out there in the distance. I doubt you can see it on the, maybe you can from where you're at. Now that's a huge target. I'm guessing that is like almost a 4x8 sheet of something that somebody put up there. I'm just, for the heck of it, I'm gonna just shoot at it. So let's see, here we go. Well, I'll be damned, I hit above it. Now, to the left of it, probably 9-10 feet, there's I don't know if it's a rock or maybe a milk jug. It's a lighter color up there on the face of those rocks back there. Damn, maybe I did hit it. Just to the left. Wow, okay. I lied to you guys. That's from here, from where we're at, it's probably 150, 175 yards, just guessing. Could be a little bit farther, honestly. So I lied to you. Like, it was pretty dang close at that distance. I almost brought some tannerite out here today just to make have some fun. But we've had issues out here in the past with people messing with tannerite. It's probably early enough in the year that it's not going to cause any kind of fire issue, but it's not worth it to me to to have some, start a fire. I don't want to deal with that. I mean, the podcast makes no money as it is. It can't afford to pay for a wildfire. Let's shoot this beautiful guy. Again, this is my Silver Boy. I bought this for my dad for Christmas a few years ago. If I can remember, I'll put the picture of him unwrapping it. This means a lot to me. Much like the single six back there, there's a lot of core memories made. I lost my dad a couple years ago now. So to be able to have this rifle, it just, man, it means the world to me. One day my son will get it, and maybe he can take his kids when he has kiddos to shoot with it too. My dad did not shoot this very much. I have a sneaking hunch that he just cherished it, which is totally cool with me. Get a little sentimental sometimes. Let's see what this rifle will do to those targets. Let's see if I can. It's only 25 yards to those targets, so it's not like it's some kind of great distance here. Now, if you haven't ever shot a Henry, you're totally missing out on the experience. They've had years and years and years to perfect. You get what I'm trying to say. They've done a really good job making their rifles, and they keep getting better and better and better. So if you haven't bought even the 22, just the regular 22 longs, man, they're just so much fun to shoot. They're great guns to teach little ones how to target shoot and how to respect, the guns. They're fantastic. Their fit and finish is awesome. They're American made, and they're a good Pro 2A company. Sometimes you see these firearms manufacturers support things that make you wonder what the hell they're thinking. Henry's not one of those companies. I'm gonna go for that middle dangler, the plate, whatever you want to call it. And at 25 yards, this should be nothing for this rifle to do here. I think I got it. How about that little tiny top left dangler? That's about, I think it's about a 3/4 of an inch circle that I have to hit. I'm going to do it standing. See how I go here. I don't know if I hit it or not. Scaring it, that's for sure. I'll hit the can behind it. All right, I think that's all. Let's double check here, I guess. Yep. They're just so smooth, the Henrys are. Now, this isn't a Henry advertisement. I don't get paid by Henry. Unless they're watching this and they want to send me a little something something, I wouldn't complain. Their fit and finish is amazing. You go from their standard lever actions to the Silver Boy or to the Golden Boy, or even their other caliber options. I mean, they go all the way up to 45-70. It's just, they're just such a good company. I can't talk highly enough about them. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the versatility of the 22 Magnum. And the usefulness of this cartridge is, that's weird. All right, spit it out, pal, spit it out. it's just been such an amazing cartridge over the past 66 years now that the Magnum's been around, and it's going to keep going strong. Like, I don't see any reason for it to not to. I mean, we talked about the versatility of even like a carry option. They're making gold dots, they're making critical duties in 22 Magnum. Now, if you push that out of a little snub nose like a Ruger LCR, you're not going to get 2,000 feet per second, but you're going to get something that's got minimal recoil, fairly good penetration like we talked about, and it's something that maybe a little old lady's willing to carry where she's a little bit shy of the recoil. It gives her an option. So don't discount the 22 Magnum. I'm going to aim at that same spot. Again, I don't know if you can see it out there, not the big white tarp. I'll see if I can circle it when we edit this video out. But the same spot I was aiming at with the revolver. Wow, way low left. I was more accurate with the revolver. It was low by about a foot. I can't see. All right, let's go back to these Armory plastic targets. I'm going to aim for that center dangler again. I think this is just going right through it. Now, the nice thing about these, I think it was the last one, the nice thing about those little Armory plastic targets, like I said earlier, they're self-healing. Now, they're not going to be like you or me when we get hurt, and there might be a little scar. Basically, what that means is, as that bullet goes through, because of the compound of whatever it is, the proprietary compound they're using, it shrinks that penetration hole back down to something pretty minute. In fact, maybe let's go take a closer look at them so we'll see how I did. The nice thing about using the combination of those 22s, whether it be Magnum or just 22 long rifle, and man, I didn't hit that thing at all. I don't know, maybe we did. The nice thing is about I didn't hit it. That's pretty embarrassing. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't hit that thing at all. This guy hit a few times. That's the first couple shots. I was aiming at this guy earlier, right? Didn't hit that at all. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Now, again, armoryplastics.com. You get these, you can see what the 22 does to it. You know, it just kind of leaves a little hole through it. If you were to shoot these with wad cutters or something like that, you're gonna just poke big holes through them, and they're not gonna be as useful later on. When you buy this kit, the Pop Shot kit, you get all these screws and everything, this whole rack here, it all comes together in one set with the danglers. You just, there's no assembly instructions, but it's not that big of a deal. It's pretty easy to figure out what goes where, but it's a pretty good option. It's a little short, that's why I just use my target stands and set them sideways to lift it up a little bit. I'm really disappointed in these. We should probably hit those again. That's just terrible. Let's get you set back up over here. If you guys saw how janky my setup is for making these videos, you would be pretty embarrassed with me. We're gonna go back to the revolver here, because apparently that's the only one that I'm hitting anything with. Right back to the single 6. I'm going to try and aim for that little 3/4 inch target on that top left. It is completely unacceptable that that thing is unscathed. Completely unacceptable. Nice, relaxed, wide-footed stance to manage this heavy recoil. Whew. Trial 6 on that bad boy. I'm gonna walk down there just to see if I made some redemption. The answer is no. No redemption for this this blind cowboy. I guess what that really means is I just need to shoot more often. I'd like to blame it on the gun, but I can't, because it's definitely a me problem. I could easily edit that out and make up some kind of story about how I had too much caffeine this morning. I didn't have my creatine shake. I should have exercised. It's Memorial Day. There's always an excuse. But I can't use those excuses. Whew. Here we go. I'm going to go for the small dangler in the center. Well, I definitely hit it that time. Okay. I'm going to go for the tiny guy top left again here. Oh, did I? That explains it. Am I shooting that far left with these guys? Pretty sure I hit. Yeah, I did. I hit the, man, that could be the issue right there. For some reason, I'm hitting like 4 inches to the left. Not down and left, like somebody who's shooting a Glock that doesn't know how, but 4 inches left, like, I don't know, maybe I got an issue with my eyesight, or I don't know if you guys can hear it. There's people out there riding their motorcycles again on Memorial Day. This place gets pretty hopping. I'm going to shoot the top right dangler. We had one shot. Man. Perhaps I should have broke out some paper targets to see how I'm doing. I'm going to open this next box of Arms Core. Same stuff. Oh no, that's 22 long. I don't want to shoot that. I don't want to shoot my VMAXs either. That stuff gets expensive. These are the next ones here. These are 40 grain full metal jackets for varmints and small game. And I would consider those targets down there varmints right now, because they are not treating me very nicely, to say the least. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see these full metal jackets. Much like the regular rimfire 22, the Magnum is going to be dirty. I mean, it's a rimfire cartridge. So taking care of your equipment is just as important. Maintaining them, you know, oil them, clean them, put them away nicely, read them bedtime stories. Man, that first one you can see very high. Maybe I'm doing the sights wrong. You know, sometimes you got to look at the sights. Pumpkin on a fence post, meaning you put your target on top of your front sight post. Sometimes you bury the target behind. Maybe this is set up for the target sitting right on top of that front sight. We'll try a few more here, see how it's going. There's nothing like some B-roll footage here to make things a good time. All right, same top right dangler, and we're gonna put the pumpkin on the fence post here. Ugh. Well then, I'm gonna walk down there and see where I hit that one last go around here. Oh, looks like, just right on the outside. Yeah, that is definitely shooting left. I know I'm not the world's greatest shot, but that is obviously something else going on. I bet if I aimed at about 4 o'clock on that right side dangler, that I'd hit it many, many more times than what I have here. Let's just do these last 6 out of the single 6 here. I can tell she's getting a little bit dirty. You can also tell that there's a little bit more oomph in these magnums because, like, the chamber, the barrel, the cylinder, all those are a lot, they get warm fast. Make sure, I'm pretty sure that was 6. Yep. Now, let's talk about this real quick, because I know sometimes when I teach classes, people have a hard time understanding the difference between a single and a double action revolver. Now, complete side note, right? Single action means that when you depress the trigger, it only does one thing. It drops that hammer. You have to advance the hammer back to rotate that cylinder to get the next round going. Where a double action is, if I press that trigger, it's doing 2 things at once. It's advancing the cylinder, and it will have the hammer fall. There's probably other ways to explain that. That's the easiest way I have to understand it for me. If you're looking at a revolver, just trying to guess exactly what it is without playing with the trigger, almost always, if there is a side load gate on that revolver, it's most likely a single action. Double actions tend to have some kind of a button to release the cylinder out to the side of the revolver, and then you can extract those spent casings out of the cylinder from there. Let's go ahead and put this thing away. Let's shoot the old rifle here for a minute. Maybe we'll finish off this box of full metal jackets with the lever action here. What do you guys think of my shirt? Is it too loud? Is it too boisterous? I don't get to wear these shirts to town very often because apparently my wife seems to think that it's rather unbecoming of a grown man in rural Idaho to dress up in what I consider a fine piece of clothing such as these in public. Apparently that's super embarrassing, especially when I take her, out on a fancy dinner to Wendy's. She doesn't seem to think those are super nice to wear. All right, so these are the, 40 grainers, full metal jackets. Well, that's a big old B. How are you, sir? Let's aim at that bottom left dangler. That one has had 0 love. Switch things up again. Man, I cannot tell where this bad boy's hitting. Nonetheless, it's just fun to plink. Now this little extravaganza today, shooting these magnums, is probably gonna be a little bit painful on the old wallet. So if you like what you're seeing here, if you want to support the show, don't hesitate. First and foremost, just to like the video, maybe hit the bell so you know when the next one comes out, some kind of a notification. That's the cheapest way, right? Whether you're on YouTube or Rumble, just hit the subscribe button. That's the fastest way. You can jump to my link tree. You can find, I have a Patreon there available. So you can do that. You can jump to the website, rangemindedpodcast.com. There you can pick up a patch or some other things. I've got some other patch ideas I'd love to bring out because they'd be hilarious. But my wife says I got to sell what I have first before I introduce a new design. So you'll just have to wait, I suppose. You also can follow me on X, Range Minded Podcast. Or no, on X it's just at Range Minded, excuse me. On Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok, which I haven't spent as much time on lately. It's Range Minded Podcast, so you can find me there. I spend way too much time, admittedly, on X. So chances are you're going to find me there. You know what? I'm going to reach way out there again. Let's go for that white rock again, way out yonder. Ooh, I think that drilled it. It's hard for me to see. That was low, about a foot low. That's another foot low. No dust trail. Maybe I got it. What else is out there to shoot? I don't want to shoot too high over approaching that horizon there. That would be irresponsible. I aim for the tiny, tiny little guy again. That is such a small target, that top left target there. I might have got it that time. Definitely pulled that one. Felt it. Ooh, that's hot. Anyway, that's it. Let's jump back to me in the studio. And, you know, it's not yet. We need more B-roll footage, bro. More B-roll. Again, don't forget to check out Armory Plastics at armoryplastics.com. You can look at all their little self-healing targets that they have available. If you want to get the little pop shot kit, it comes with that frame. That's the rest of those right there. It comes with the frame and with what I think it's, let's see, over here not paying attention. You get this little guy here, little case with all the targets. Comes with two 10-piece target set, 5.5-inch gong. There's 2 of those, and 2 of the 3-inch gongs, like the one I just knocked down over there. Pretty good deal, pretty cool. Great company. Again, family-owned business, small business, made in Idaho Falls, Idaho, which I try to always support Idaho companies. I'm based in Idaho, so I love to support Idaho-based 2A companies because, I mean, that's part of my ethos as the show. Okay, here's the last few rounds out of those 40 grain full metal jackets. Let's see, what do I want to hit? I guess we'll go for that largest bottom right gong again. I really can't tell if I'm hitting it from here. Bottom left gong. So there was a time a few years back that I wanted to take up cowboy action shooting, which I still think could be kind of fun. But I am not fast enough to play that game. But it'd still be cool. Anyways, there she is. Henry Silverboy. Beautiful gun. Means a lot to me. That Ruger Single 6 means a lot to me. You know, another cool thing about that Ruger Single 6, I can't remember if we talked about it or not, is you could buy, when those guns first came out, you could buy it and it came with 2 different cylinders, one for the Magnum and one for the 22 long. So you could plink all you wanted in the 22 long, but when it came to putting it to work, you could change out the cylinder and throw the Magnum cylinder in it. When my dad bought that gun, it didn't have the 22 long cylinder. He threatened to send it back to the company to have them fit the new cylinder, and I told him, no, do not send that gun back. And I'm glad he didn't, because they would have changed some stuff inside there, the falling block safety or something. I can't remember what the recall was back in the day, and I was like, don't change that gun at all. And I'm sure glad he didn't. It's still going strong. It's still super awesome. Anyways, that's it. That's the 22 mag video. Hopefully you enjoyed the little history. And now back to me at the studio. I gotta clean up this mess. Oh dear.
I know what you're thinking. Steve, this is 2025. The 22 Magnum has been around a long time. Is this thing still even viable now? Is it worth it now? Is anybody making stuff now that actually works with this cartridge? Yes, absolutely. Just in 2023, 2 years ago, Smith & Wesson brought their M&P in their semi-automatic M&P handgun. Yep, they brought that out in a 22 Magnum, which offered great mag capacity, good grip. Obviously, any of their M&P styles firearms are going to fit great in the hand. Their Smith & Wesson reliability in 22 Magnum. Plus, Rock Island Armory came out with their 8-shot revolver, which is a bit of a tank. It's a bit of a heavy gun, but 8-shot revolver in 22 Magnum. I know what you're saying there. I get it. Rock Island did have some issues with this particular gun, but I think maybe they've got stuff figured out. I don't know. I don't own one. But there's still stuff being pumped out. So let's think about this. From all the way from 1959 till now, there's still stuff coming out in 22 Magnum. Look at the Henry, right? That one we just showed you. That Henry, that style of gun has been around since the late 50s, 60s, and still now. Henry's still pumping out quality firearms that are running the 22 Magnum cartridge. It is very relevant still today, and it is so much fun to shoot. It's such a good time. Not to mention that the 22 Magnum also brought out some of the wildcat, or some of these crazy people that are necking it down to other casing size or other calibers. Think of the 17 HMR. That's a 22 mag case that's necked down to .17, and they're getting insane velocities. Obviously, if you've shot one or have one, you know what I'm talking about. Insane velocities out of that 17. And there are even some folks that have necked it down to 20, to a 20 cal. And again, bottleneck cartridge, insane velocities, but the 20s, they're a little bit more niche. I haven't really seen any of those around, but they all came from the 22 mag. Like, it's awesome that people are still using the 22 mag to create other crazy, awesome, fun things. But when we think on a little bit more of a practical side, not all, but many of the 22 Magnum chambered, rifles and some of the revolvers, they can handle the 22 Winchester rimfire or the 22 special, Remington special. That's what it's called. Not everything. Like, they're not going to work in some of these semi-autos. They kind of get, choked up on some of these other casings. And again, not every firearm can handle that, but there are many that can handle those other 22 caliber casings, which makes it a good time for some collectors and other people that just want to have a good time and plink in other calibers. It's a very versatile chamber. It's awesome. So what is the legacy of the 22 Magnum? Well, it is the only 22 rimfire cartridge from the 20th century that's really still going strong. Now you might say, Steve, what about the 22? The 22 long rifle and 22 short were actually in the 1800s. So the 22 Magnum is the only rimfire 22 caliber that's really made a lasting difference and is still being used today, whether it be by small game hunters or people just wanting to plink. Like, it's meeting the gambit, and it's still going strong. It does have its drawbacks. I understand that. 22 Magnum is definitely more expensive than 22 long rifle or even 22 short. It gets costly, but if you want something that hits harder, that goes a little farther than a 22 long rifle, there's no reason not to jump to the 22 Magnum unless you want to jump to, a center fire cartridge. I totally get that. But in the rimfire world, 22 Magnum is very versatile and extremely useful. A little expensive, but it is a very good time. That Henry 22, the 22 Mag Silver Boy that we shot out the range, I've had that rifle. Well, I bought that rifle for my dad for a Christmas present years ago. And after he passed away, I got to take it home and put it in my safe to later give to my son. That rifle brings me so much joy every time I get it out. And it reminds me every time I shoot it, not only how fun it is to have a memory tied to a firearm, but how much fun it is in that cartridge when I hear, whether the steel or the tannerite or the target, whatever I'm hitting, when I hear that smack, it just brings me so much joy. And it lets me know that, yeah, firearms do have a personality. And if the Magnum is any kind of personality, it's the get out of my way. I may be short, but I am mighty. I love that cartridge. It is so much fun. That's it. That's the story of the 22 Mag, my little short history of an amazing cartridge. Here's the big takeaway. It just dug out its perfect little niche in the gun world, having just enough power, just versatile enough, and just fun enough to be there, to last. It's an amazing, amazing cartridge. Whether you want to be shooting cans in the backyard with the grandkids or killing the skunk that's trying to get into your chickens, the 22 Magnum is there and it can do the job. It will satisfy most every need that you have for it. It is an amazing, amazing cartridge. Now, here's a challenge for you guys way out there in the world out there. If you have a 22 long or a 22 Magnum, I want to hear your story. I want to know the rifle. I want to know the story about it if you're willing to share. Maybe you have a particular load that you like the best. Maybe you haven't shot a 22 Magnum. Here's the next one for you if you haven't. Find somebody that's got one and you can go shoot it. And then I want to hear about what you think about that cartridge. It is something that you're not going to forget. It is an amazing cartridge, and I hope you got the same excitement that I did out of this little history lesson of the 22 Magnum. Anyways, I'm glad you guys could hang out with me. Tons of fun. This was a fun video to make. It was a little complicated, bouncing back and forth, but I hope you found it worthwhile. If you liked the show, make sure that you like, share, comment, do all the things that you're supposed to do at the end or in the middle or the beginning of the video, which maybe I should have talked about then. Whatever. If you like the show, let me know and share it with your friends. Don't forget, you can follow us on all of our socials, whether it be X or Instagram or TikTok, which I haven't been doing as much on TikTok. Range Minded Podcast or Range Minded, depending on where you jump in there. You can find us. Pretty easy to find us. Don't forget the website, rangemindedpodcast.com. All that jive. You guys are awesome. Don't forget, you got to take somebody shooting. And as always, you have to stay range minded. See you guys later.
Third day, God created the Remington bolt-action rifle so that man could fight the dinosaurs and the homosexuals.
Amen.